Hello there, it's your friend Phil, Project Management Trainer, PMP Exam Coach. Today we'll talk about the PMP Exam update scheduled for January 2016. There's been a lot of noise on the social media boards about this exam that's meant to be updated, and people trying to take the exam ASAP before these changes come about. So today we're going to talk about what exactly these changes are and why or why not you should be concerned. The PMP exam is changing not based on a new PMBOK guide, so there isn't going to be a new PMBOK guide 6th edition, contrary to what many people are thinking. Since the PMBOK guide is not changing, that should be an indicator that you don't need to worry as much about these changes. In fact, you don't even need to worry at all. You just need to be aware that certain things within the exam could change. And these things that could change as a result of this new exam are: 1. The weighting of the exam. Currently, executing is 30% of the exam. Closing is 8% of the exam. But in this new exam, executing will be 31% of the exam, and closing will be 7% of the exam. So a 1% differential in executing's favor and in closing going down by 1%. 1% of the exam means 2 less questions in closing and 2 more questions in executing. You can see that's not enough to be worried about. The other bits of the exam that are changing are the individual question weightings within the process groups. So within the process groups, there are some individual questions surrounding various tasks that will be changing. To really understand this, I would say Google PMP exam content outline and read the content outline and know what's coming. But you'll see that what's coming is business as usual. Let me go through very quickly with you some of the things that are supposedly changing. To me, these are not changes, but more of an emphasis of what has already been known to trainers who train project management professional or the certified associate in project management. They should already be aware of these things that have been out there in training space for a while. The first is business strategy and benefits realization. Now, this is really all about business benefits being understood by the PM up front, as opposed to just being concerned with a deliverable, a product, a service, or result. The PM in this instance needs to be aware of benefits, cumulative or aggregate benefits of a project, as opposed to just a singular deliverable. The next thing that the PM should have been aware of, or should be aware of, through this training that is being offered for the PMP exam is lessons learned. Lessons learned shouldn't be collected just at the end of the project. Lessons learned should be collected right from the beginning all the way through the end. So, as opposed to you getting to the end of the project and realizing a big bang, hey, we suddenly realized the biggest lesson at the end of the project, you realize the lessons cumulatively along the way, and it finally results in the aggregate of the lessons learned at the end, but you've got cumulative lessons learned, which could help your project from the beginning of the project all the way through. So this second change is questions that allude to lessons learned being understood and collected all through the project and not just at the end. The third thing, which I believe is business as usual, is the project charter. The PM should understand that the project charter is not his or her responsibility. The PM could participate in the development of a charter, but is not necessarily involved in the sign-off of a charter. To me, that is Project Management 101. But it's listed as one of the changes that's coming on the exam. Can you see why I say it's nothing to be overtly scared about? or scared about in the first place, because it's stuff that you should already know. The other thing that will be accentuated on the new exam is stakeholder relationships. Stakeholders need to be engaged right from the beginning all the way through. Now, the questions as they exist today may not be amped up on stakeholder engagement or stakeholder relationships. However, on the new exam, you can expect to find more questions that talk about stakeholder relationships and stakeholder engagement. And if you're one of those folks going in to take the new test, well, that's something to be aware of. So when you look at the entire scope of these new changes on the exam, the only thing I would be concerned about if I were you is, one, reading the PMP exam content outline and understanding the content. The second thing I would be concerned about is paying close attention to business strategy and understanding things like benefits realization, benefit cost ratio, NPV, IRR, BCR, payback period, sunk cost, and all those topics. As far as the project charter, I would be concerned about really reading the developed project charter process in the PMBOK guide. If you read that process inside out, outside in, understand the tools, the techniques, especially the inputs and outputs to the best of your ability, you shouldn't have trouble in that area. Because the real big thing is the project charter is developed by the project sponsor, the project initiator, the customer, or the project manager could help these folks in developing the charter, but is not the signature of authority on the charter. The next thing about stakeholder relationships, I'll just say read chapter 13. It's a new chapter in the PMBOK Guide 5th edition, and therefore you can expect to have more questions over time about stakeholder engagement. Things like the stakeholder engagement assessment matrix and things such as understanding the difference between managing stakeholder engagement and controlling stakeholder engagement are very important. And last but not least, take as many great mock exams as you can. I'm not talking about free mock exams that are thrown out there by nameless people. I'm saying take exams that are put out there by credible PMP certified, belly button traceable people, not some random person out there that you don't know about. And the reason why I say this is there's so much junk out there from previous PMBOK guide editions that are not relevant to the current exam. And if you find yourself relying on these mock exams that are free and are out there but have old stuff in them, you could think you know the content only to get into the exam and realize that you don't really have a clue about this stuff. So please don't take dangerous mock exams. You want to understand who wrote this exam. Is the person a PMP? Is the person still certified? Is the company behind this ready to back up the answers? And can I ring someone or email someone with the rationale behind these questions? That would be my advice to you. Whatever the exam you choose to take, be it the current one or the PMP exam coming up in January 2016, I wish you all the best. Leave no stone unturned. And remember, check out my Facebook page and get that cram list. Get the cram list for the PMP exam and leave no stone unturned in you finding out all of those terms in my cram list. Just type into Google PMP exam cram list. It's sure to come up with my cram list. All the best.